Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Free Will Burning Podcast. I'm Steve. This is my brother, Troy. We're the Gen X Transplant Brothers. I'm going to bring up this screen here. We're going to talk a little bit about a story I saw the other day where the author of the story had said that 70%, it was the guy that is buying or bought Paramount. He said that 70% of America is actually centrist and 30% are all those other things like Republicans and Democrats. Huh, great. Just because you have $1 billion doesn't mean you have any brains. That is not true. So I looked into it. And of course, there was a bunch of people who are already tearing it apart. So what I did is I went to my little AI and took a bunch of these articles and then said what I felt about it. And it put it together into a PowerPoint. So since I use PowerPoints in my work, I figured we'd do that. It's easier. That way we don't have to keep all the stats going on. Here, Troy, can you see that?
I can.
And can you see me?
I
Yes, I'm in there.
can.
All right, then. Here's what we're going to do. So what we're going to look at, I've got it in two places here, everybody. The quiet majority, okay, why we agree on more than we're told and why nothing gets done. And so basically what I want to do is go through, we started with the idea of this 70% being centrist, okay, depending on how you look at that. But anyway, right off the bat, we want to break that down. And then how that impacts our voting system, our way our government is put together, and why it seems like we're kind of doomed to fail when it comes to getting what we actually want. So here we go, the quiet majority. We're going off their first one here. So this guy, David Ellison, $8 billion bet. Okay, he says 70% claimed in the center, 10% or what the average is what it really is, okay? He said 70. When you look at all the other people that have polled this, and there's tons of people that do this stuff, both sides of the aisle, it's about 10% across the board. Okay, so that is a bunch of hogwash, and that's what we're going to start off with. So there you go. We're going to it's not true, but this is what it actually is. Currently, right now, though, look, we have exact split, 45 to 45. And I thought to myself, now, how is that it's exact? And why is it that if we have a 52% to 48% presidential, it's a landslide. When I think landslide, I think, it's going to be like 80, 90% or something.
Yeah.
That's barely, that's so, but it is because this is intentional. Because even if you were to take these remaining 10% and divide them, chances are they would probably lean to exactly 50-50 if you were to put them in both sides. So this is based on Gallup, Pew, government, and all these other polls. And so the center isn't a silent majority or a quiet minority and is shrinking, whatever. That's just a little quote there. So this is the point here that, in fact, we are, though, actually divided, which that to me becomes the bigger question. How is it that we are consistently always divided and we conveniently have two political parties? I remember this guy from when we were a kid, and I think everybody else out there will too. Let's let him sing us a song.
Sure gotta climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building here in Washington. Well, I wonder who that sad little scrap of paper is.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee. But I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
Oh, gee, Bill. So anyway, remember the bill on Capitol Hill, Schoolhouse Rock?
I do.
And that is, I've said this before. Whatever happened to bipartisan bill? And that's who I picture, bipartisan bill. Because you recall, we were growing up, I don't know how much politics you paid attention to. I didn't, but I do remember often hearing that phrase, a new bipartisan bill was introduced to Congress today. Do you recall that?
I don't remember.
Don't.
The
Okay,
bipartisan bill.
I don't know why I do. Hopefully, listeners, comment below. Do you remember bipartisan bills being, if you say you grew up, I was born in 66. All right. So I'm talking, it would have been 80s, early 90s, part of the time I would have been hearing things like this. Maybe not early 90s, mostly 80s, maybe even late 70s.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember. I don't remember it in the 70s, but I remember bipartisan bill, like when I started going to college and paying attention to that shit stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so that would have been the late Reagan era, which was all about that. And we're going to talk in a minute about Reagan and Tip O'Neill. But yeah, I remember that. And so then it became, what happened? What happened? Why Why did we then go to this 50-50 thing where now we hate each other's guts, and if we have a bipartisan bill, it's like sleeping with the enemy? So I was wondering, and so Troy, do you recall back in 1990, you came and picked me up? I was living in New Jersey. Boom, a weekend later, over the weekend, I'm in Arizona working construction. And then it would have been that summer, yes, that we would, excuse me, it was right in there. Yes, it was before I went on Dead Tour on 91, right? Anyway.
89.
No, anyway, but do you remember we'd listen to Rush Limbaugh? So here's what
Rush Limbaugh.
Actually, I was living in Flagstaff by then. This would have been like 92, after I'd done Dead Tour. And the reason I'm thinking of this is because it was whenever they had the thing in Texas where the guys got blown up in Compound. It was that year because we heard it. What would happen is Troy and I were working on a construction site called Pinion Woods, a subdivision at the base of Bell Rock in Copper Basin.
Sedona, Arizona.
Copper Creek. What was the name of the little town?
That was Oak Creek Canyon.
Oak Creek Canyon, right. It's just outside of Sedona. And in those days, there wasn't anything out there yet, and much. And so Troy and I, and this other guy, we were in charge of putting in the sewer rock. We had a rock trencher. We had to put in the sewer pipe and all this stuff. We were out there. And what would we do to get an idea of what was going on in the news? We would listen to National Public Radio from 6, right when we got there, about till 9 a.m., morning edition, every time. We listened to the whole thing. We didn't really think of it as liberal. We thought of it as different news, right? But we listened to it every day. And I still, to this day, sometimes still listen to National Public Radio and still get that feel, oddly, though it is very left now. And maybe it was then. But immediately when that would end at 9 a.m., dun, dun, da, 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 we'd hear Rush Limbaugh, and we would listen to all 3 hours of Rush. And so by lunchtime, we always said,
we were informed.
We have a pretty good idea of what's going on in the world. Just take what they said and put it in the middle, and that's what happened, And so, but the thing that was weird about that time was the way that Rush put comedy into it, coming up with like feminazis and
libtards.
Libtard came, right. But he had, some of these go way back to the beginning. Feminazi is probably one of them. But, and it was cute. It was funny. It was cute. But what it did is it got the base fired up enough against the other side by name calling. Remember, when you deploy troops to combat, they're not going there to kill Vietnamese. They're going there to kill gooks. You make a deal with the Vietnamese. You kill gooks. You make a deal with Democrats. You kill libtards, or you don't make a deal. So this language ends up being loads the gun pointed at bipartisan bill, poor Bill's head. And then we had the day that the thing was fired. Here's sort of these are the things that led up to him. Blah, 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 blah. So everybody's slowly still working together all this time. NAFTA, all that's getting going in 93. Russia's already out there doing what we're saying. And then all of a sudden we get the clown.
We're here because we are taking the first steps, and we're taking them in a contract with the American people. We've already told the incumbents and the candidates that if we have a majority, if the American people accept this contract, that they can expect to work 5 days a week in January, 6 days a week in February and March, 24 hours a day around the clock towards the end if necessary. We are going to get to the final recorded votes in the first on every item. You would have thought a positive contract with positive ideas, with 8 reform steps on the opening day, with 10 bills, the press quote have finally said, what a difference.
Meanwhile, he's circulating a memo telling everybody to refer to the other side as demons, devils,
but
instead of people, politicians.
The usual complaining, the usual negativism,
feeding off the Rush energy. And we were into Rush. We liked Rush. I liked Rush all the way up until Jerry Garcia died. But we'll get out of here. But look, so this is what effectively happens. That's the murder weapon. That's 1994. That's what killed bipartisan bill. Newt Gingrich's contract with America introduced a strategy that changed American politics permanently. The old model was compromise and govern. with work on the other side to pass legislation. So you get a deal, blah, blah, blah. The new model, obstruct and contrast, make the other party the enemy, not the party. Okay? Memo, Gingrich circulated a list, called Democrats sick, pathetic, corrupt traitors, called Republicans courageous, visionary, and reformers. The result, Republicans sent Congress in 1994. Every strategist on both parties took note. And from that day forward, we lost the idea of bipartisan bill. Now, I call Gingrich a clown, not because at the time I would have been all about him. And I fundamentally don't really have anything against him to begin with. And generally speaking, I fall on that side politically, as people could probably tell. But the clown in the first, he made it into a circus. It's been a circus ever since. It went from being a serious governing body to a circus that has now gotten us to the point to where we have a president who, again, I fundamentally support, telling people that they fucking better open the Hormuz and he's going to bomb them to the Stone Ages, and praise the Allah. And yeah, that's that. There we go. That bipartisan bill died in 94, and today we've got. I mean, Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey would be out of business if this circus came to town.
Yeah.
So this is what was just prior to that, everybody. Just prior to Newt Gingrich saying that. This is what we went from in 8 years between 88 and 94. Actually, 6 years, okay? And 94.
But in addition to celebrating a country and a personal friendship, I wanted to come here tonight to join you in saluting Tip O'Neill, to salute him for the years of dedication and devotion to country. Tip's recollections of politics go back, of course, far beyond my own. He's seen some who play the game well and others who do not. He's seen some who love politics and some who came to it only out of a sense of duty. But through it all, Tip has been a vital and forceful part of America's political tradition, a tradition that he has truly enriched. Tip, you are a true son of Boston College and our friend.
Reagan even sent birthday greetings to his friend. On March 17, 1986, Tip O'Neill said,
"The president and I oftentimes don't see eye to eye. We have our little squabbles. But when he calls me at night, he says, 'Is it 6 o'clock? Can we talk to friendly?' Sure, absolutely. So we swap an Irish story or two. Mr. President, you know, we have different in philosophy, but I want to tell you how much I admire your ability, your talent, the way you handle the American people, the love that the American people have for you, and your leadership, even though I have opposed it."
Even though I have opposed it. By the way, that's my man, Ronald Reagan, one of Reagan's Rangers. I have my hat on. This is the regiment I was in. And I'm actually wearing the shirt today, just out of chance. I don't normally wear it. Now I'm struggling to get this hat. Okay, my skills of podcasting are dropping today a lot. Anyway, there's Reagan and Tip O'Neill. Now, Tip O'Neill, for those that don't know, he was in charge of the Democrats basically the entire time, or at least the vast majority of it, that Reagan was president between 80 and 88. And he opposed almost everything. And they fought all the time. But they were good friends. And it's well documented that they would actually sometimes get together. Literally at 6 p.m. is one thing I saw elsewhere. And Tip mentioned it there. They would have a couple of shots of whiskey and just shoot the shit, talk about whatever, you know. And they saw the human on the other side of the room and not the demon, the devil, the whatever that Newt would rather us look at people. So I ask you, which we did better? For those of us that say it was so much nicer in the 80s, it's not just because of the fact that we had better music, but we also had better leadership, and we had better people above us showing us how to not do stuff like this, to call each other sick, pathetic, corrupt traitors, and only refer to things that we like as courageous, visionary reformers, as if nobody else is trying. Obviously, Tip and Ronald Reagan saw each other as courageous, visionary, and reformers, and that led to all the success and happiness that we enjoyed in the 80s with a functioning government. It wasn't just Mr. Reagan. It was his statesmanship and all the rest, and the people around him, and the culture around him. And that culture, getting back to that, is just what just continues to be divided. And it's not by accident, okay? It's called conflict displacement. It's called conflict displacement. It's an actual term. Parties don't pick issues because they're important. They pick them because they're divisive.